Hey tankers, and welcome to the gameplay end of our review of the new premium tier 8 American medium tank, ASTRON Rex. This was the tank that featured in the recent last Waffenträger event. There are a couple of ways you could get it, but for the most part it was kind of sort of a loot box event, but there was a way to achieve a guaranteed drop with this vehicle by collecting up to 60 engineer starters. Now, hopefully you're catching this video from my Wix article, which is a much more detailed technical and tactical review of this vehicle, as well as noting the ways that you can counter it. If you're not, however, I will put the link in below, so hopefully you can check it out from there. So today we are following JoblessGamer of the RAWR clan, who was able to pick up this vehicle during the event, and he uses it to absolutely brutal effect here. We can see from his loadout he has opted for a heavier loadout on the premium shells. He's got he started out with 25 premium shells and just one clip worth of AP shells, and there's a very good reason for this. The standard AP only has 190 millimeters of penetration, so that starts to sound glaringly familiar to its tech tree counterpart, the T69. Also glaringly familiar to tech tree counterpart T69 is the premium option, which upgrades you to 250 millimeters of penetration, which is far more serviceable at tier 8 and above. There's certainly plenty of opportunities to make 190 millimeters of penetration work in a tier 8 engagement. Having said that, to do that effectively, you need to be looking for basically flanking shots in support of the push. Now, we don't really see too many of those opportunities presenting for JoblessGamer currently, so certainly for this position on this map, to go in with a much heavier loadout of the APCR was a very sensible choice. So the gun's got 105mm caliber, and a 5-shot autoloader that's assisted by a 4-second intra-clip reload. So you can't really take the spray and pray approach with this vehicle like you would other medium tanks with much shorter intra-clip reload. I mean, the second longest is that of Lorraine 42 with 2.5 seconds, and it's not every day that you turn up with a Lorraine 42 and then just dump a clip, because it takes you 7.5 seconds to do it, and that's more than enough time for an enemy to acquire you, dial their shot in, and give you a pretty decent wallop. And of course, the Lorraine 40T, it's not exceptionally well armored. And so it's one of those tanks that's all about the gun, much like ASTRON Rex is as well. This a 5-shot autoloader is pretty unprecedented amongst tier 8 medium tanks. In order to get a clip of that size, normally you have to look for something French and something heavy, but ASTRON Rex has got that with a 105mm gun. It's quite a beefy weapon, 320 hit points of alpha per shot, and we can see that like so far in this battle, JoblessGamer has been able to collect over 2,600 points worth of damage using these APCR shells with the 250 millimeters of penetration. Jobless is a pretty experienced fella. He's still looking for those weak points on those enemy vehicles, and at 250 millimeters of penetration, you still have to, even at tier 8. So sound knowledge of enemy weak points is going to be pretty essential for using ASTRON Rex effectively. One of the main drawbacks with this vehicle is its accuracy. It's got a base dispersion of 0.41 meters, which that's pretty that's probably the worst of all the tier 8 autoloader or auto reloader vehicles. So it's essential to take an improved aiming module to try to improve that. Of course, if you strap on vents, and in Jobless's case, he's also running Coca-Cola as well. You can improve that significantly down to I think you can get it down to about 0.36 running that premium consumable in addition to those modules as well, which is very handy. So Jobless is able to secure his 3rd kill of the game. He's really fourth kill is really carving through the enemy team. This magazine is a pretty serious bit of work. You've got 1,600 hit points of damage potentially stored within that magazine, provided you can hit and provided you can penetrate those shots. Of course, carrying the premium APCR, Jobless has given himself every chance of being able to do that. The fortunes of the team are not looking so great at the moment, though. They are 3,000 hit points down, over 3,000 hit points down. ASTRON Rex still retains its hit point stripping capability and its killing capability. Will it be enough on this map? Well, that will remain to be seen. There's certainly no shortage of contribution on Jobless's part so far, with nearly 4,000 damage inflicted. He's just ticked that 4,000 damage box and taken his 5th kill of the game. So he's just using this vehicle to fantastic effect. So it's a vehicle that's very much all about the gun. Big clip, big caliber, big damage, and big clip potential. The other characteristics of survivability and mobility, I guess that's where the vehicle struggles, and probably that's necessary from a balance standpoint. You do have quite a strong turret. Like you're needing 250 millimeters plus to be able to remotely have a chance of being able to penetrate this turret frontally. Sorry, 350 millimeters plus to penetrate this turret when it's in a hull down position as well. So it also has 10 degrees of gun depression, which is really helpful. But as far as body shots to the vehicle go, it's quite vulnerable to body shots, and the commander's cupola is also a very large and obvious weak spot that sort of sticks out like the obvious part of a dog. Mobility also suffers. It has the worst power to weight ratio of its peers. So putting a turbocharger on this vehicle is as essential as putting in that improved aiming module. 7 kills of the game for JoblessGamer now. He's doing his part to assist in clearing the field, but they are down to 2 friendly vehicles, and we know the enemy has been touching the cap circle. So is now almost out of the premium APCR shells. The only way Jobless is going to have access to a full clip is to now dive into his standard AP, which again only has 190 millimeters of penetration. It's barely serviceable at tier 8. Fortunately, when you look at a lot of the enemy vehicles around, you've got things like the Progetto, the STA-1. 190 millimeters of penetration is certainly quite adequate in that application. Unfortunately for Jobless, the Progetto has found him. He's got 2 shots left in the clip, but the Progetto 46's auto reloader is able to beat him to the punch. So, unfortunately, a defeat for JoblessGamer of the RAWR clan. Let's have a quick look at his results. So, a cracking game there by JoblessGamer of the RAWR clan for his efforts coming away with an Ace Mastery badge. Unfortunately, couldn't get a win today, but was able to very much showcase how ASTRON Rex can play to its role as a support tank, very much in the thick of it with the heavy tank push. It's all about dealing the damage and securing the kills, catching enemy vehicles on the reload or when they're in just vulnerable positions in between taking shots in the brawl. That's definitely a very sensible way to play this vehicle. For his efforts, Jobless has picked up nearly 6,000 hit points of damage, collected 7 enemy vehicle heads, and as a result has earned himself the Top Gun medal and also high caliber, for accounting for at least 20% of the hit points of the enemy team. He's also picked up the Duelist medal for destroying at least 2 enemy vehicles that caused damage to him throughout the course of the battle, and of course the Fire for Effect medal for doing a crap ton of damage. Looking at the team scores, the other ASTRON Rex has Light of Dawn from the Saints clan has also performed quite well. Of course, this game was had occurred late in September, so those that had been able to pick up enough engineers starters were able to start taking these vehicles to the field and causing a lot of havoc with them. Looking at the detail report, it looks like Jobless has picked up a personal mission for his efforts earlier in the day. Of course, the battle payments, RAWR must have had some boosters going. And so that's an extra 85,000 credits. So you take that off his total, 40,000 credits, and that's in spite of losing pretty much an entire ammo capacity's worth of APCR. We can see that rather hefty ammunition resupply bill there. So roughly 40,000 credits yielded. Also remembering Jobless had a case of Cola consumable running as well, which would have brought that 40,000 down to 20,000 if there was insufficient supplies and storage. But everyone loves a happy ending, so let's take a look at another game on ASTRON Rex. So this was about the second time I took it out of the garage, and I'd spawned into a tier 8 and 9 match on Himmelsdorf. So this was going to be a bit of a test for this support tank in the city environment. You can expect a lot of close quarters battles, but fortunately a bit of close quarters battle is very handy for offsetting the rather high base dispersion that this vehicle has. Like we said earlier, 0.41 meters per 100 meters is what you start with. Of course, you do improve that significantly using improved aiming and with vents. So I think I was running a little bit closer to 0.37, which is hardly sniper worthy, but still a lot more serviceable. As we crawl up the hill of Himmelsdorf here, we can see just how badly the engine power and power to weight ratio exists on this tank. This is just an absolute snail's pace. So yeah, a turbo charger does become quite essential with this vehicle. I hadn't actually equipped it that way. I recognised I needed the improved aiming. I put the improved ventilation on, but I actually went with vertical stabilizers to try to improve some of the dynamic handling characteristics. But certainly in retrospect, that's possibly a bit redundant in terms of dynamic gun handling. This vehicle is actually considerably better than a lot of its peers, such as Lorraine or T69. So moving in, we've zeroed in on the AE Phase 1 initially, taken a hit from the Conqueror, but essentially trying to play from a position closer to the front and trying to make use of that clip in between enemy shots. So we know the Conqueror's on the reload. Unfortunately, we pulled back a little bit too aggressively there, and missed our shot. So far, that's only one penetrating hit, and that's on the AE Phase 1. Can we make it into the cupola of the Conqueror? Unfortunately not, but having tracked the vehicle earlier, we have been able to collect nearly over 700 hit points of damage off the Conqueror, thanks to our earlier tracking injury. With 5 rounds in the clip, tracking shots with this vehicle do become quite sensible, because it's still a 320 hit point shell, so your chances of being able to knock off a track with this shell remain quite high. Unfortunately, we couldn't quite track AE Phase 1 that particular time, but our teammate has put the AE Phase 1 in a position where it had its lower front plate exposed, and we still have 2 rounds left in the clip with which we can exploit that. Of course, we also immobilized ourselves. Unfortunately, didn't manage to penetrate that. We were firing the standard AP at 190 millimeters of penetration. So engaging enemy heavy tanks frontally was going to be a little bit of a struggle there. Fortunately, we're quite adequately backed up by the Object 257 and the HWK-12, and we're able to send a Phase 1 packing. A considerable hit point advantage over the enemy so far, with about 4,500 hit point advantage. We've been able to take the hill, we've been able to break our way off the hill, and get on to getting to grips with the enemy rearguard. We can see that the fighting on the Banana Road has been quite intense. We still have a couple of enemy heavy tanks still occupying that area. Bit of a lucky shot on the enemy LT-432 as it's attempting to screen its rearguard. Luckily, we bounced off the Rheinmetall-Borsig Waffenträger, and before it reloads, we're able to deliver quite a powerful series of shots into it, and that's one less threat in the world. Just leaves the LT-432 and the AT-15. For our part, we've just elected to cap, but the LT-432 has made an appearance, been able to get another cheeky 300 points of damage. Happy with that. AT-15 looking like it was getting wrapped up by friendlies, but we'd ended up satisfying the victory condition there regardless. Let's take a quick look at those results. So that's a victory for us, and because everyone loves a happy ending. And for our efforts, we've been able to come away with a Class 1 Mastery badge. No Epic or Battle Heroes medals, but we had picked up the Bruiser medal for causing damage to modules or crew members, and the Fire for Effect medal for doing at least a hit points in damage. So we have been nowhere near JoblessGamer's level, but we'd managed to pick up nearly 2,500 hit points of damage and been able to wipe 2 enemy vehicles off the board. We're able to bounce a couple of shots as well, quite luckily against the Rheinmetall-Borsig Waffenträger and a Phase 1, so nearly 1,100, for 1,150 hit points bounced. Normally that's not something you can rely on with ASTRON Rex, particularly now that the tank's been out for a little while. People are becoming a lot more familiar with its armor profile. The turret's actually not too bad, but if you aim for it, a reasonably astute tanker, particularly if they're on the reload and they can't fire back, they are going to be moving it about and wiggling it quite a lot. One of the interesting characteristics of this vehicle is that its turret traverse is very high, its hull traverse is also very high, in spite of having an absolutely woeful power to weight ratio. So the net effect of that is you can't really circle jerk the tank because it can basically spin the turret at 45, plus you add the hull traverse at about 65, so all up you've got 110 degrees per second that gun can whip around to wherever it needs to go. So and accordingly an enemy team member or an enemy ASTRON Rex can also be sort of whipping the turret around back and forth, creating all sorts of very bouncy angles. So if you do get caught running toe-to-toe with one of these things, just go for the body shots, because the turret, penetrating the turret can be a bit of an unpredictable affair. So for our efforts, we've placed top on experience, closely followed by Iron Guard of the Lemon Clan, who had a fantastic damage accrual there in the AE Phase 1. Looking at the detailed report, again, it looks like I've picked up a couple of dailies. FIDI also runs a Tier 10 credit generating facility, so so we can sort of take 90,000 off this score. That gets you to basically 55,000 credits that we picked up for our efforts. Again, we had a different loadout to JoblessGamer in that we weren't running the Kohler, and we weren't running quite as much premium ammunition either. And I guess the net effect of that was a higher credit yield. So taking the battle payments and missions payouts aside, about 55,000 credits for our efforts. So that's it, ASTRON Rex. Again, please check out the link that I'll post below to my article. I talk a lot more about the practical and tactical applications of ASTRON Rex and how to counter it. In the meantime, if you'd like to see one of your replays featured on World of Tanks with pr154, please give us a shout over Discord or any of the links below, and we'll do our best to sort you out. Take care out there.